Students, how did you get back at that teacher? Mrs. Crawford was the AP chemistry teacher everyone warned you about. Not because she was tough, but because she was genuinely evil. She had this sick game where she'd pick one student each year to destroy. Junior year, she picked me. It started with my calculator. She claimed it was a prohibited model, even though I'd used it all year. Made me take a test without it. Failed. Then she lost my lab report. Swore I never turned it in. Another 0. She'd call on me for questions she hadn't taught yet, then mock me when I didn't know. Maybe you're not AP material, she'd say, while the class sat in uncomfortable silence. But here's what pushed me over the edge. My best friend Sarah was diabetic. One day her blood sugar crashed during class. She asked to go to the nurse. Crawford said no. Sarah explained it was medical. Crawford said, "I don't care about your excuses." Sarah passed out right there, hit her head on the desk, blood everywhere. Ambulance came. That night, I created a fake Instagram account, posted a simple question: "What's your Crawford horror story?" Within 3 hours, I had 47 messages. Kids from the past 5 years started flooding in. One girl said Crawford threw her anxiety medication in the trash, calling it druggy behavior. A boy shared how she announced his learning disability to the whole class as an example of natural selection failing. Another kid's dad was deployed in Afghanistan, and when he started crying during a video about war, she told him to man up, your dad would be embarrassed. I screenshot everything, but I didn't stop there. I found Crawford's teaching certificate number online, looked up every school she'd worked at, started emailing former students from her previous schools, found a Facebook group called Crawford Survivors with 200 members from her old district. They'd been documenting her for years, lawsuits that got settled quietly, parents who were paid to stay silent. I compiled everything into a website, called it The Crawford Chronicles, had testimonies from 126 students across 3 schools, medical records from Sarah's incident, screenshots of emails where Crawford called students worthless and genetic mistakes, even found 3 teachers willing to go on record about witnessing her abuse. But the masterstroke? I found out Crawford was up for a District Excellence Award, $10,000 bonus, and a ceremony with the mayor. The ceremony was being live streamed on the district's YouTube channel. During her acceptance speech, I posted the website link in the live chat, then texted it to every parent WhatsApp group, emailed it to local news stations with the subject line, "Award-winning teacher has 126 abuse complaints. Ceremony happening now." The superintendent's phone started ringing on stage. You could hear it through the microphone, then another phone, then another. The YouTube chat exploded. Parents started showing up at the venue. The stream cut off, but someone was Facebook living it. Crawford was escorted out by security mid-speech. By morning, it was on the actual news. The headline read, "Trophy Teacher's Dark History Exposed by Student Website. Investigation Launched." Turns out 2 previous districts had paid over $300,000 in settlements to keep families quiet about Crawford. She'd been shuffled from school to school for 15 years. She was fired within the week. Teaching license permanently revoked. 3 families filed criminal charges. Last I heard, she was working at a call center, probably making some poor customer service rep's life miserable instead. Sarah's mom sent me a message. "Thank you for doing what we couldn't. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just getting even, it's making sure they can never hurt anyone again."
On my first deployment to Afghanistan, we had a guy from Louisiana in our platoon who wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. Really nice guy, but not very quick on the uptake. I started pulling practical jokes on him just to keep myself entertained during the deployment. For the first one, I convinced him that if he aimed his rifle at the moon, he'd be able to see the flag, but it would be upside down because we landed on the bottom. We had little 4x magnification optics on our rifles, and every once in a while you'd see him up in a guard tower aiming his rifle at the moon. After this, I decided to start getting creative. We had some Canadian troops that operated a news station on our base. We created a breaking news piece that basically said that the US stopped making payments on the Louisiana purchase because it was viewed as largely ceremonial anyway. France was having no part of this and was repoing the Louisiana territory for non-payment. The Canadian Army newscasters read it out in English and then in French, and we dubbed it onto a football game DVD, so it looked like the game was playing and then breaking news! Somehow he didn't recognize the people from the newscast, despite the fact that they lived on our base and were the only people on our base that weren't part of our company. He asked what was going to happen to him, and so I told him that once the Louisiana refund was complete, he'd be part of the French army. He ran off to call his wife, and you could hear him yelling, "Damn it, Michelle, I don't even speak French!" My commander made me go apologize to him the next day, and he was super pissed and yelled, "God damn it, Pete, I hate you! I hate you!" I took my parents' and siblings' inheritance. I was raised by my grandparents from the start. My biological parents had me in their early 20s, but decided they weren't ready to be parents. 2 days before I was born, they asked my dad's parents to raise me. They left me at the hospital after the birth and were gone before my grandparents even got there. They vanished from everyone's lives for 16 years, but they weren't missed. My grandparents are great, and they've given me a good life. A few months ago, my bio parents came crawling back. They have new kids now and wanted to reconnect with everyone. Aunts, uncles, and cousins agreed, but no one forced me to join in. I did eventually decide to meet them. I don't hate my parents really. I just don't care to get to know them. It's too early to tell how I feel about my siblings. However, my grandparents have made up their mind not to get involved. I've only interacted with my parents twice. The second time was a few days ago when they came over to talk about a lot of things. One of those things was my grandparents' inheritance. My parents wanted their new kids added to my grandparents' wills with an equal share to mine. From what I understand, I've got a share equal to my aunts and uncles, so basically like a full kid. My father isn't included at all. I thought it was scummy for them to show up and try muscling in on the inheritance, so I rolled my eyes at them and kicked them out. Now my parents are pissed at me for disrespecting them and taking the inheritance from their other kids. I should have known the people who abandoned me cared more about the money than
On my 26th birthday, my parents sold my motorcycle for the family fund. Dad texted, "Be grateful we let you live here." Then added, "Your brother starts college. You'll pay his tuition. $6,000 due Friday." I said, No. He replied, then get out. So I did. I left quietly that night, but I also left something in the garage. This morning, Mom's crying, my brother's furious, and Dad's standing in the driveway staring at what's left of his retirement plan. I turned 26 on a Tuesday. No cake, no card, just a text from Dad at 7:42 a.m. Sold the bike for the family fund, my Ducati Monster, the one I'd saved 3 years to buy, working double shifts at the hospital. Gone. Just like that. The follow-up text came an hour later. Be grateful we let you live here. Your brother starts college next week. You'll pay his tuition. $6,000 due Friday. I stared at my phone in the break room. Coffee going cold in my hands. My younger brother Tyler had barely graduated high school with a 2.1 GPA. Meanwhile, I'd put myself through nursing school while paying my parents $600 a month in rent. I typed back one word. No. His response was immediate. Then get out. So I did. That night, I packed my essentials, grabbed my documents, and left. But before I walked out at 2 a.m., I stopped by the garage one last time. See, what my dad didn't know was that I'd been suspicious for months. He'd been bragging about his investments to his golf buddies, dropping hints about a big payout coming. And I'd noticed something odd. My rent checks were never deposited to their joint account anymore. They went somewhere else. So 3 weeks earlier, I'd done something slightly illegal. I'd installed a hidden camera in the garage, disguised as a CO2 detector, just to see what Dad was really doing in there every Saturday night when he said he was organizing tools. Turns out, Dad wasn't organizing anything. He was running a chop shop. That Ducati he sold, he'd already stripped it for parts 2 days after I bought it, replacing key components with cheap knockoffs. The bike I'd been riding for 3 years was a Frankenstein of stolen parts and counterfeit VINs. He'd been doing it with every family vehicle for years. Mom's car, Tyler's truck, even the boat he claimed he invested in. The night I left, I didn't take the camera. I left it running, and I left something else. An anonymous tip to the state police, complete with timestamps, photos, and the location of his fake Vine stamping equipment. The raid happened at 6:30 a.m. I know because my former neighbor texted me a photo. 3 police cars, 2 unmarked vehicles, and Dad being walked out in handcuffs while Mom sobbed on the front steps. Tyler called me 15 times. I didn't answer. The local news ran the story that night. Suburban father arrested in multi-year vehicle fraud scheme. They estimated he'd defrauded insurance companies and buyers of over $200,000. When they seized the garage, they found everything. The stamping kit, the burner phone with buyer contacts, the ledger where he'd meticulously tracked every fraudulent sale, including mine. That family fund he'd been building. It was built on stolen VINs and my own bike. Tyler's tuition money, gone. Seized as proceeds of crime. The house, mortgaged 3 times over to fund Dad's operation. Mom called once, voice hollow. How could you do this to your own father? I almost laughed. He sold my bike to cover up fraud. I just made sure he couldn't do it to anyone else. She hung up. Last I heard, Dad took a plea deal. 6 years, asset forfeiture, permanent ban from vehicle sales. Tyler moved in with our aunt, bitter and broke. Mom's working retail to cover rent in a studio apartment. Me? I'm living in a small downtown condo, still working at the hospital. Last month, I bought another motorcycle. This time, I had a mechanic verify every single part before I signed. It's a Yamaha, not a Ducati. Cheaper, more reliable, and most importantly, it's actually mine.
My student almost failed because of her accent. The recording was playing in front of 200 students. Ava's voice, clear and confident, explaining complex linguistic theory. Then someone in the back row started laughing. Not quietly, loudly, mockingly, imitating her accent. The whole auditorium erupted. Even some professors were smiling. I stopped the video. That's our valedictorian candidate, I announced. The laughter died instantly. 3 months earlier, Ava had transferred from a rural province. First day, she answered every question perfectly, but nobody heard her answers. They only heard how she said them. The whispers started immediately. Did she just say water like that? Where's she even from? How did she get accepted here? I watched her shrink a little more each day, started sitting in the back, stopped raising her hand, but her written work, flawless, better than students who'd been here 4 years. Then came the announcement that changed everything. The National Linguistics Competition. Winner gets a full scholarship to Oxford. Every top student registered. Ava didn't. I found her in the library, surrounded by books. You're not entering? She looked up, eyes tired. My accent, professor. They'll laugh before I finish my first sentence. Your accent, I said, sitting down, is the only authentic thing in this entire pretentious institution. She almost smiled. That won't win competitions. Watch me prove you wrong. I spent the next month training her, but not the way you'd think. While other professors were drilling their students on proper pronunciation, I was teaching Ava to weaponize her difference. Your accent carries 300 years of linguistic evolution they've never studied. Use it. The day of the preliminary round, the judge panel was exactly what I expected. 5 linguistics professors from the capital, all with the same sanitized accent they'd learned, was correct. Ava was contestant number 12. The first 11 students sounded identical, polished, perfect, boring. Then Ava walked up. Before she even started, one judge was already writing notes, probably about her appearance, her confidence, anything but her ability. She began with a sentence that made them all look up. The accent you're about to dismiss contains 17 unique phonological features that predate your standardized pronunciation by 2 centuries. Then she launched into her presentation, not despite her accent, because of it. She demonstrated how her regional dialect preserved Old English vowel sounds that standard pronunciation had lost. She showed how her incorrect grammar was actually more historically accurate. She turned their prejudice into ignorance. The judge who'd been writing stopped. Another leaned forward. When she finished, the room was silent. That's not how we teach it, one judge finally said. No, Ava replied, her accent even stronger. stronger now. It's how it actually evolved. Your standard is just one political decision from 1920 that ignored 800 years of linguistic diversity. They couldn't argue. Every source she cited was from their own published papers. When results were announced, Ava hadn't just passed. She'd scored highest in the competition's history. The Oxford Scholarship was hers. But here's the part that went truly viral. At the award ceremony, with all the professors watching, she gave her acceptance speech in her strongest regional accent. Then she said, "I'm taking this scholarship, but I'm coming back to teach, to make sure no student ever feels ashamed of how their grandmothers taught them to speak." The head of the linguistics department tried to smile for the cameras. Failed. That video from the beginning? I played it at faculty orientation this year. Nobody laughed. Ava was in the room, interviewing for a teaching position. She got it, unanimously. Her first lecture is next month. Registration filled in 6 minutes. The course title, Linguistic Prejudice: How Standard Pronunciation Became a Weapon. The same professors who mocked her accent are now required to attend. Your voice isn't wrong. The system that tells you to change it is.
The nurse said, "He won't remember anything when he wakes up." She didn't know the anesthesia didn't work. I felt the needle go in, counted backward from 10 like they told me. 10, 9, 8, 7. My eyes closed. My body went limp, but I didn't go under. I was still here, completely aware, completely paralyzed. It's called anesthesia awareness. 1 in 1,000 chance. You're conscious but can't move, can't speak, can't signal that anything is wrong. Your body is a prison and you're locked inside. I tried to scream, nothing. Tried to open my eyes, nothing. Tried to move a finger, a toe, anything, nothing. I could hear everything, feel everything. The cold air on my skin, the surgical drape being placed, the clatter of instruments on metal trays. "He's out," Dr. Carpenter said. "Let's begin. Routine appendectomy. Supposed to be 45 minutes, in and out, back to work by Monday." Then I heard the nurse. "Did you talk to the wife?" "Yesterday. She's fully on board." "Wife? Sasha was here? How much is the policy worth again?" $2 million. Double for accidental death during a medical procedure." My heart stopped. Not literally. I could hear it on the monitor racing now, but everything inside me went cold. "And our cut?" the nurse asked. 60% each. That's $1.2 million, split between us. They were going to kill me, on this table, for insurance money, and Sasha was in on it. "The family is rich anyway," the nurse said. "They won't even miss him. Plus, she gets the house, the cars, everything." They laughed. Actually laughed. I wanted to scream, to thrash, to tear myself off this table and run, but I couldn't move. Couldn't do anything but listen to them plan my murder. "How do we do it?" the nurse asked. "Increase the anesthesia. His heart stops. We try to resuscitate. It doesn't work. Tragic complications. Happens all the time. And the records? I'll alter them. Showed signs of cardiac distress before surgery. Pre-existing condition we missed. Textbook cover-up." The monitor beeped faster. My heart was racing. They had to notice. "He's stressed," the nurse said. "Probably just dreaming. Increase the sedative. Keep him calm." No. If they gave me more, I'd actually die. I'd slip under and never come back up. I focused everything I had on my left hand. Every ounce of energy. Every thought. Move. Nothing. Move. Nothing. "Ready?" Dr. Carpenter asked. "Ready." I heard the syringe. The tap of a needle against glass. "Move. Please. Move." My finger twitched. Once. Tiny. Almost imperceptible. But the anesthesiologist saw it. "Wait!" I focused harder. My whole hand this time. It moved. Lifted an inch off the table. What the hell? My arm. I could feel it coming back. The paralysis wearing off. "He's waking up. That's not possible." I gave him enough to... I opened my eyes. Dr. Carpenter was standing over me. Syringe in hand. Face frozen in shock. The nurse dropped her clipboard. I couldn't speak yet. My throat was still paralyzed, but I could move my arm. Could point. I pointed at the ceiling. At the camera in the corner. The one connected to the hospital's cloud server. The one that recorded everything for liability purposes. The one they forgot about. I mouthed one word. Recorded. Dr. Carpenter's face went white. He looked up at the camera, then back at me, then at the nurse. "We need to..." The door burst open. Security. 2 officers. And behind them, a man in a suit I recognized from hospital administration. "Dr. Carpenter, Nurse Chen, step away from the patient. This is a misunderstanding. We monitor the surgical feeds remotely. We heard everything. Every word about the insurance money. The murder plot. Sasha. They cuffed them right there in the operating room." Dr. Carpenter didn't resist. Just kept staring at me like he couldn't understand how I was awake. The nurse was crying. "It was his idea. I didn't want to save it for your lawyer. They wheeled me to recovery. A different doctor. A different nurse. People I could trust." My voice came back an hour later. The first thing I said was, "Where's my wife?" They found Sasha in the waiting room, playing the worried spouse, dabbing fake tears with a tissue. They arrested her in front of everyone. She looked at me as they dragged her past my room, confused, betrayed, like she couldn't understand how I'd survived. I just smiled. 2 months later, I testified at all 3 trials. The anesthesiologist confirmed what happened. A rare reaction that left me paralyzed but conscious. 1 in 1,000 chance. 1 in 1,000 chance that saved my life. Dr. Carpenter got 25 years. The nurse got 15, and Sasha got 20. But the best part was watching her face when the prosecutor played the surgical footage, and she realized the husband she tried to kill had heard every single word, including the part where she called him boring in bed and worth more dead.